there's not a whole lot of scholarly breakdown of what angels are. Most people, they maybe get touched on in their modern church. There's a few scriptures they hear, but a lot of it's just tradition, some images they see here and there. And the first thing that you do in your book, which I want to get into, is you kind of not abandoned, but you changed the terminology to heavenly host. Can you expand on what you mean by that and why you chose to use that phrase?
Yeah, it is intentional. It's quite deliberate because when you get into the first chapter, I deal with vocabulary. For those who haven't seen the book yet, I'm talking about angels. I start in the Old Testament. We mix in some Second Temple Jewish stuff who are really theologically serious people in between the Testaments writing about the Old Testament. And then we get, of course, into the New Testament. But in the first chapter, I start with terminology and as a launching point into the Old Testament. And then I re-reference this chapter occasionally through the rest of the book. And that is because we have a real terminology problem. I don't use the word angel in the title because angel is a job description. Not every member of the heavenly host takes messages. That's what an angel does. It's a job description. In fancy academic talk, angel, malach in Hebrew, angelos in Greek, is not an ontological term. It doesn't tell you what a thing is. It tells you what a thing does. It's a functional term. So the way I break down the terminology is that describe their nature, in other words, what they are, words like spirits, okay, that's kind of an obvious one, or holy ones. Then there are terms that describe rank in hierarchy. Sons of God is one of those. Again, this kind of language is drawn from ancient Near Eastern kingship, the royal court. And then there are terms that describe function or job, some sort of task. Angel is in that bucket. It's in the third category. And so is cherub, cherubim, the plural, seraphim. These are terms that meant throne guardians. Throne guardians aren't taking messages. They're not angels. These are different tasks. So any given member of the heavenly host might be tasked at some point with taking a message. Then they are functioning as an angel, as a messenger. Cherubim and seraphim are throne guardians. That's what they do. When they clock in and they clock off, that's their task. It's their job. They guard the presence of Yahweh. They protect it from defilement. This is why in Isaiah 6, when the prophet is brought into God's throne room, he needs to be purified. All these terms are important, but what we do as Christians, and even Christians who spend a good amount of time in their Bible, is they smash all the terms together. And we come out with angels having wings. Angels do not have wings. No angel in the Bible is ever described as having wings. Cherubim are, seraphim are, but they're not all the same thing. So we tend to smash these things together, and tradition has done that as well. And tradition, and a failure to appreciate the nuancing in the vocabulary, sort of becomes doctrine for some people. It's not a sinister thing. It's just kind of the way it's been. But I wanted to try to set the parameters early in talking about the terminology.